If you passionately believe there was a better life waiting for you on the other side of the world, but the person you love most didn't share your dream, would you follow your head or your heart? In 2013, Rochelle Barker was facing just that dilemma. Today, we'll find out where she and her mum now call home. Rochelle was passionate about a move to the other side of the world.
I absolutely fell in love with New Zealand through geography in school.
And was desperate for her mum to join her.
We're less like mother and daughter and more like best friends.
But for Mum Lorraine, that meant facing an unbearable choice.
I can't see me being in New Zealand thinking, my God, I've left my mum.
2 years on, we'll find out where they are now.
At this moment in time, I'm feeling really positive.
Roughly the same size as Great Britain, New Zealand boasts almost 9,500 miles of coastline and sandy beaches. With most parts of the country enjoying over 2,000 hours of sunshine each summer, it's not difficult to see why, for almost 40 years, it's been one of the top 10 destinations for UK residents choosing to emigrate. 2 years ago, Rochelle Barker had just 1 week to convince Mum Lorraine to uproot her entire life and start afresh in New Zealand. At the end of it, the pair faced a life-changing decision, whether to stay in the UK or take the plunge and move to the other side of the world. Today, we'll discover how and where Lorraine and Rochelle are now. The Barkers' original trial week in New Zealand started with a 12,000-mile journey with stops in 4 different time zones. Despite the long flight, the ladies had arrived in good form.
Still haven't hit home. We're on the plane saying, we're going to New Zealand. It just doesn't feel real.
This is my dream to come here. To actually get that, it hasn't sunk in. I don't think it will for quite a while yet.
With just 1 week to persuade her mum life would be better in New Zealand, Rochelle would need to find her bearings fast. In 2013, classroom assistant Lorraine and then 18-year-old daughter Rochelle were living in a 3-bedroom bungalow in Kinmel Bay, North Wales. And as relationships between mothers and daughters went, they didn't come much stronger than this one.
We're less like mother and daughter and more like best friends. She's my rock, my confidant, my everything.
The pair spent almost all their spare time together.
We go to these country and western festivals and we dress up with our Stetsons and our boots and we do a bit of line dancing.
But that relationship was being put to the test. Rochelle was desperate to convince her mum to follow her dream and move to New Zealand.
Everything Rochelle seems to do, it's all with New Zealand in mind.
Well, I absolutely fell in love with New Zealand through geography in school. We saw these amazing mountains with the snow. They've got nice holiday destinations with beaches, just like we have here, only they have the summer for it.
Lorraine had emigrated to Australia in her 20s, but had returned to the UK before Rochelle was born. Nearly 30 years later, she didn't know if she had the strength to do it all over again.
At 50, I can see pitfalls and problems arising, and I'm really quite concerned if I'm doing the right thing or not.
A legacy from Lorraine's time down under was Australian passports for her and Rochelle, meaning they wouldn't have needed visas for New Zealand. But the downside was if Lorraine left Wales, she'd also be leaving her mum.
My mum has always been there to help. She's always lived just down the road, always phone each other every day. I can't see me being in New Zealand thinking, my God, I've left my mum.
Health issues meant there was no chance of her nan making the move with them, and Rochelle was all too aware of the emotional turmoil her mum faced.
This is part of my dilemma. If we go out to New Zealand and my mum is not settled, that would break my heart to see my best friend unhappy.
For Rochelle to realise her dream of a new life down under, Lorraine faced having to choose between her mum and her daughter.
Whatever's going to happen, someone's potentially going to lose their mum, whether it's me with you or you with your mum. It's a dilemma all round.
For their first ever trip to New Zealand, Rochelle and Lorraine visited the Greater Auckland region in the North Island. Home for the week was a two-bedroom cottage in Coatesville, a small rural community about 18 miles northwest of the city. Straight away, Lorraine was impressed.
Wow.
That is
No,
fantastic.
Mum, it's the little cottage on the left.
I don't give us that garage. It's fabulous.
Their rental cottage was attached to the owner's home and formed part of a traditional Kiwi lifestyle plot.
I love these big quirky rooms and the fire. Learn how to work
Lovely. There's different funny, funky room shapes, isn't
Yeah.
there? Oh.
That is what I'm talking about. Beautiful. These lifestyle blocks are absolutely amazing.
It was an amicable start to the week, but the pair's relationship risked being put through the ringer if Lorraine was to be convinced of a future in New Zealand.
Just have to suck it and see. Find out some more first. But first day, first feeling, first impression is absolutely beautiful.
Back in the UK, the Barkers were living in a three-bedroom detached bungalow in Kimmel Bay, North Wales. And if Rochelle managed to convince her mum to move, she had a clear idea of what a Kiwi home should have.
My dream house would be a wooden weatherboard house, 3 bedrooms, big private plot of land, half an hour to an hour away from civilization.
I do like anything that's quirky or a little bit different. Some of it is quite similar, isn't it?
Yeah,
But
there's one thing we agree on anyway. Just location.
got this idea of having chickens and sheep. I'd be happy with just a dog.
The Barkers had a budget of £200,000 for a home in New Zealand. We showed them 3 properties, one on budget, one their ideal home, and one in between. First stop was the farming region of Kaukopakoppa. 45 minutes from the centre of Auckland, it was popular with people wanting to combine city working with rural living, so should have been ideal for Rochelle. This 4-bedroom property had plenty of room inside, and with 2.4 acres outside, it could have been perfect for those sheep and chickens.
Wow, what do you think of this?
It's a view, isn't it? Oh, it is lovely.
Very nice.
So far, so good, but how did the inside fare?
It does need a lot of TLC, I think. It would have to be,
Modernised.
but depending on the price, things could be done with it.
Lorraine was underwhelmed. Rochelle needed to find something to please her mum quickly.
So this is bedroom number 1. Decent size, isn't it?
It is. I suppose the bed is big, so it's taking up some room.
They got cowboy hats, Mum. Ready for us to move in.
Nice try, but it wasn't enough.
There's a lot of money to be spent here.
There's a lot of
It's old electric, and that noise all day. So we're on a busy road.
Inside had left a lot to be desired, and the busy road outside didn't help either.
I'm just not feeling it here. With that road, I think
We're not used to it, are we?
It did have the land Rochelle wanted, though, so was it within their £200,000 budget?
Okay, here we go. £283,000. So that was quite a lot more than what we expected.
Wow, I thought our budget would be quite enough to buy a better house.
Oops.
The real cost of lifestyle living was threatening to derail Rochelle's dream. Would the next house lift her spirits? Further away from the city centre, this well-presented house in Parakai should have offered more value for money.
Well, it's very suburban.
Squashed in with thousands of others.
It wasn't quite the lifestyle block Rochelle was looking for, but did inside win her over.
Oh, wow. Amazing.
More.
Compared to the other house. I love the way it flows outside.
But there was little room for Rochelle's livestock plans.
It's a really nice garden, but there's no way for chickens or for sheep.
And a lack of space for animals wasn't the only problem.
I can see about 50 houses in one glance.
Back indoors, size was an issue in the bathroom too.
Right, so it's a main bathroom and it's got a washing machine in.
Okay.
I don't think I could fit in that bath.
It's usable.
If you're the Hobbit, it's usable.
The bath was too small, the neighbours too close. But was this somewhere they could afford anyway on their £200,000 budget?
Shall we see how much it's worth?
Aha!
Okay, so it's under budget by £5,000.
But you're still overlooked.
I don't think I can afford my dream. It's quite a frightening aspect of it.
The day wasn't going to plan, and with just one property to go, Rochelle's chances of finding the right house at the right price were looking slim. The final stop was in Helensville, within easy commuting distance to central Auckland. What did they make of this spacious 4-bedroom house?
It's real cottagey look to it, isn't it? And it's got a chicken.
That had to be a good sign.
Oh, look, Mama's got a campfire.
It'd be lovely and warm in the winter.
And it's nice open plan. It flows into the dining room, which is quite nice.
Oh, it's a nice sized kitchen. Needs a bit of TLC, but I think it's...
Yeah, it's the size we're looking for.
It was looking promising so far.
Quite a big size
Wow,
room.
it's huge, yeah. Oh, it's got a really nice view as well.
Rochelle and Lorraine seemed won over inside, but did the garden offer more privacy than the last property?
You feel like you're private and secluded, really.
This house seemed to work for them inside and out. So was it priced to please?
I'm going to say it's bang on our budget at £200,000.
Right, do you want to go for it? Oh, £217,000.
Which is 395,000 New Zealand dollars.
That was £17,000 over the Barker's budget.
The house prices are so much more expensive than I imagined.
It had been a bad start to Rochelle's week, as the real cost of the kind of property she wanted had been revealed. Property One offered the lifestyle block she'd been dreaming of, but at a price they weren't prepared to pay. The second house was more affordable, but also too overlooked. And the final house was almost perfect, but just beyond their budget. So, based on what they'd seen, did the Barkers vote for property in the UK or New Zealand?
UK?
I'm very undecided, and I'm surprised that you have picked the UK.
It's just been super disappointing. I just thought we could get so much more for our money than what we've been shown today.
Rochelle had been dreaming of a life in New Zealand for almost 10 years. But the true cost of property down under meant finding a job with a good salary was crucial. Back in the UK, Rochelle had been earning around £10,000 a year as a full-time accounts assistant while studying for her final exams.
I'm not on much at the moment, but if we do go, we will need a mortgage, so the right salary would be needed.
As a classroom assistant for young people with learning difficulties, Lorraine earned a similar wage. She loved her job, but was willing to be flexible in New Zealand.
At 50, I'm not sure I'm going to have a lot of options, but I would like to think that I would gain a similar position.
As part of their fact-finding week down under, we'd arranged for Rochelle and Lorraine to explore the local job market. Lorraine visited the Wilson School for Children with Special Needs in Takapuna and was hoping Principal Jan Kennington would put some of her worries to rest.
I am 50 and I'm just a little bit concerned. Is that too old to be applying for posts for a teacher's aide?
Age isn't a barrier in most special schools in New Zealand. What we are looking for are people who are passionate and ready and willing to roll their sleeves up and get stuck in. A question of what you're prepared to do rather than what you're qualified to do.
I see.
It was exactly what Lorraine had needed to hear, and a happy mum meant potentially less pressure on Rochelle.
Yesterday was very disappointing, so today everything is riding on today, really.
Rochelle was due to graduate as an accounts technician and hoped her qualifications would be transferable to New Zealand. To find out, she met with Martin Richardson, director at a local accountancy firm. He was quick to point out that on top of her qualifications, Rochelle would still need to complete a further training programme in New Zealand.
There's a foundations program that takes the first year, and then there's another 2 or 3 years.
So if I were to emigrate, I would have to do the extra 3 to 4 years?
Yes.
To be recognised.
That meant more studying for Rochelle, but it didn't seem to put her off.
So are there many job opportunities for someone like me emigrating out to New Zealand?
Well, I think so. Currently, we're employing for next year's grad intake, so there could be 300 or 400 grad jobs going.
It sounded as if New Zealand could have offered more job opportunities for Rochelle than the UK.
What kind of salary would I expect with my age? I am only 18.
Well, currently we're offering 44,000 for the graduates that we're taking on next year. And the starting rate for seniors is about 65,000 currently. About 2 years later you can get to manager, which is about $80,000, and then basically the sky's the limit after that, really.
Wow, that's brilliant.
It was great news. If Rochelle earned around £24,500, it would have more than doubled what she was making at home. Her dream was back on track if Lorraine was happy with possibilities in her line of work.
Are there jobs available?
There certainly are jobs available in special schools, but also supporting students in mainstream schools.
Good news again, but did Lorraine fare as well on the financial front?
Our middle of the range teacher aides would be earning somewhere between 18,500 to 19,000 New Zealand dollars.
That was just over £10,000, slightly more than Lorraine was getting at home. Had the day addressed some of her concerns?
Today it was so positive. I don't see a barrier anymore.
After a disappointing start to their week, work opportunities had proved much more positive. So were Lorraine and Rochelle a step closer to making their new life in New Zealand?
Based on what we found out today, we're going to vote for
New Zealand?
New Zealand.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Wow.
It's been awesome. It's really been interesting and I was blown away by what I found out.
Well, fantastic. Auckland's winning you over then.
Exploring work options had proved a positive experience, but Rochelle knew there was still a long way to go. Would a day experiencing the New Zealand lifestyle help take her a step further towards her dream? In the UK, Rochelle loved off-road driving, so the day got underway with a four-wheel drive experience, offering her the chance to combine her hobby with her love of the great outdoors.
I feel so excited to actually be on a four-wheel drive tour in New Zealand. It's going to be so good.
Lorraine didn't quite share Rochelle's enthusiasm. If Rochelle's dream was to avoid biting the dust, she needed to remember the day was about selling the lifestyle to her mum too.
Oh my God, what an experience. I don't think it would be quite for me. It just blows your mind. Blows your mind.
The pair headed off to explore the scenery from the seat of a saddle, and it was much more to Lorraine's taste.
I think it was last year when we went on the bikes last. So cold. Takes the joy out of it then, doesn't it? So if you've got a place like this with all this view and these houses and...
Yeah, beautiful.
Absolutely fabulous.
It was a much more positive reaction, but Rochelle knew her mum still faced a difficult decision.
If she wants to stay at home with Nan, that's her decision. But I've got to go where my heart is, and my heart's definitely in New Zealand.
It was a real turning point for Rochelle, who until then couldn't have imagined a future in New Zealand without her mum. But if Lorraine did stay put in the UK, it could have been her only option.
Would I be happy knowing my mum's alone and lonely in the UK? I don't think that would sit well with me. I don't think that's right at all.
No matter what Lorraine decided, she faced having to say goodbye to someone she loved.
If Rochelle decided to move to New Zealand without me, I would feel lost. Well, since the age of 3, it's only been her and I.
Tough decisions lay ahead, but based on their lifestyle day, had Lorraine seen enough to want more of what New Zealand could offer?
Based on our experiences today, we vote for... New Zealand.
New Zealand.
Really?
Hey, you well?
It really is winning you
over. It is, I've got to say. It's been an awesome day and it's just unbelievable what opportunities there are. And today is it just opens your eyes to possibilities and I'm really impressed.
Really good. I'm really glad.
Whoop whoop.
Lorraine seemed to be coming round, but could mother and daughter actually afford the lifestyle Rochelle wanted? They needed to figure out if the finances would work down under. To help, we provided a comparison of costs between the UK and New Zealand. They started with the weekly shop.
Oh, milk, 4 pints. NZ, the difference is £1.75 for milk for
Wow.
4 pints.
So it's cheaper in the UK. Chicken is cheaper and rice is cheaper in New Zealand as well.
But were they cheap enough to make a difference to the food bill?
So that's £47.99 in the UK and £73.84 in New Zealand, so that's £25.85.
So you're looking at £100 a month difference.
Yeah,
It's quite a big...
it's quite a lot.
Even basing their calculations on the cheapest property they saw, it was suddenly looking like an expensive move. Was Rochelle's pay increase enough to pull them out of a hole?
But we haven't taken into account the combined income, which is £637 a month. So that leaves us with £415.55 better off in New Zealand
A month?
a month.
For real?
For real.
It was time to vote.
Today we done a comparison check on the cost of living in New Zealand, and based on what we found today, we're going to vote for...
New Zealand? Really?
Yeah.
Wow, hey, this is looking really good.
It was another good result for Rochelle, but Lorraine had always been concerned starting again in a new country wouldn't be as easy for her as for her 18-year-old daughter. They were both keen country music fans at home, so we arranged a trip to a local line dancing club to give them a taste of the social scene New Zealand could offer.
Is it a good way of making friends, joining this kind of club?
Absolutely. Quite a few groups around, so some of these ladies actually go to several different classes during the weeks. They might go 3 or 4 times, and so you get different groups of friends, and then you get to know other ones in different groups.
No, hey, that's brilliant.
Yeah, it's awesome.
It was small steps, but Rochelle's dream of having her mum by her side in New Zealand seemed to be getting closer. The pair lost no time getting into the groove. But had the evening given Lorraine the answer she was looking for?
It's a really good way of making friends, and it could be just that little thing extra that entices me to think, wow, I could go for it, you know, just on something like this.
It had been a positive week for Rochelle, as one by one her mum's concerns about her life in New Zealand seemed to have vanished. But with Lorraine still worried about leaving her own mum, the biggest hurdle was yet to come, as the pair sat down to messages from their loved ones back in the UK.
Hello, Lorraine. Hello, Rick. I hope you're finding what you're looking for, my love, and the weather's kind to you.
Hi, Lorraine. Hi, Rochelle. I hope you've had a fab time. I hope it's been what you expect it to be.
Hi Ricky, I hope everything's going alright. I know you'll be enjoying it already.
Hello Lorraine, hello Rochelle, I hope your week has gone really well, hope the weather's been really good.
They're the loveliest 2 people I've ever met in my life. You have to go a long way to meet anybody like that. I know I'm their mother, and you shouldn't talk like that, but I'm telling the truth. Smashing 2 people, inside and out. Lovely. I'd love them to bits. Don't tell him.
Ricky is a fun, bubbly, crazy, genuinely nice, happy person, and I'm glad I met her.
If they move... Oh, see, I'm starting already, sorry. Oh, I'll miss her terrible. I know she's there when I need her, do you know what I mean? And I think sometimes a friend hasn't got to be living on the doorstep. They can be just somebody you know is there for you, you know.
Oh, I'll miss him with all my heart. But it's life. I accept that. I'm not a one to sit and cry. As long as they're together and look after each other and they're happy, that's the main. That's what I do think.
No, I don't want Rochelle to go. I'd rather she stayed with all her friends.
Rick, Lorraine, you've been out there now for a week. You should know what it's like. You should go with your instincts and go and have a ball.
As long as you find happiness, your old mum is happy. But one of these days, I'll knock at your door. Rick, get that cup of OXO on. I'll be out there to see you. All the very best, love. I miss you both. Bye.
That was a bit more emotional than I thought it was going to be.
And listening to my mum, it didn't seem very positive there about, she seemed like waving us off. That's how I felt, that she was, it's the final sort of, won't hold you back, but adios. And so it didn't seem any input from her that she would contemplate coming with us.
Watching messages from loved ones had brought home to Lorraine the heartbreaking dilemma she was facing, having to choose between her mum and her daughter. Rochelle had been dreaming of a life in New Zealand for almost 10 years.
It hasn't hindered my dream in any way coming out. In fact, it's escalated it, which is brilliant. It's just an amazing country.
But her biggest challenge was always going to be convincing Mum Lorraine to start a new life on the other side of the world.
It's been quite a turbulent journey for me, emotionally.
The trial week had helped Lorraine set aside most of her fears, but Rochelle knew she was still torn over leaving her mum back in the UK.
My nan is quite a frail lady. She's 82 now, and I think my mum would stay with her.
Were Rochelle and Lorraine coming to the end of their life together?
This is my dream, and there's no going back for me.
I've had an incredible journey with Rochelle, and I really want to carry on that, even if it's from a distance when she's got her own family.
With her hopes still pinned on New Zealand, Rochelle's future with her mum was uncertain. As their final vote approached, would Lorraine's final decision delight or devastate her daughter?
We've both had a really adventurous week out in New Zealand, and based on all our findings, we vote for New Zealand.
UK. Nah, only joking. New Zealand!
Really?
Yes, really.
Wow.
I got a feeling I don't even want to go on that plane to go home. I know. How weird is that?
Wow.
I just feel that this is it.
My heart sank so much.
Never have ya. No, I really don't want to get on that plane to go home.
Wow. I was so glad. Really?
Yeah. I'd say give us 18 months and we'll be here. I really feel that strong about it.
That's amazing.
I want to die here. Not particularly this week. Not this week. Not for a long time, but I just feel like this is it. I want to restart here. I want to retire here. And that's it.
Wow. Oh my gosh.
Whoop, whoop.
Wow.
Whoop, whoop.
When it came to her final decision, Lorraine had been won over by what New Zealand had to offer, and Rochelle had secured the result she'd been desperately hoping for. So, 2 years after their week in Auckland, have the pair made it to the other side of the world? It's October 2015 and the Barkers are living in Rhyl in North Wales. But the town won't be home for too much longer. Rochelle was delighted when her mum signed up to follow her dream.
When my mum turned the card to Australia the last minute, it was just like all my dreams had come true. It was, what?
You turned the card from New Zealand.
What did I say?
Australia.
Did I?
Well, it has been 2 years, I guess. Their trial week in the country had proved a turning point for Lorraine.
Within 3 days of landing in New Zealand, I started to see things in a different light, and I thought, you know what? This just could be for me. The high points for me were the landscapes, meeting the people, which are so friendly.
And New Zealand had delivered on all fronts for Rochelle.
I loved the weather, the beaches. It ticked all of my boxes. It was everything I thought it was going to be.
Flying home on cloud 9, Rochelle made the most of her time in the air to start planning her move down under.
I was so excited on the way home. My mum had made everything seem possible. We had reams of paper for lists, detailing all the things we needed to sell, do, see.
Returning to Rhyl, they got the ball rolling straight away.
We put the house up for sale and we thought, well, that's a good start.
The pair couldn't wait to break their news to Lorraine's mum, but on seeing her, their excitement quickly faded.
We went to my mother and said all this to her, and even though she was very positive and said, go for your dream, we could see that she was a very ill woman.
Though she'd been ill for some time, Lorraine was shocked by the change she saw.
We were only gone, I think it was just over 2 weeks. But when we came back in that short time, I could see her health had deteriorated.
Lorraine knew leaving her mum just wasn't an option.
I can't go to New Zealand knowing she's A, on her own, B, quite old, C, very ill, and I thought, what are you thinking?
She and Rochelle put their dream move on indefinite hold.
Life just takes over sometimes if you haven't got much control of something. The decision was sort of taken out of my hands, really.
It put everything on stop. I did think about going to New Zealand on my own, but with Mum saying that she couldn't leave Nan because her conscience wouldn't let her, I couldn't leave my mum then because I would feel the same.
I just thought it's a little tiny price to pay for her who's been with me all my life.
Over the next couple of years, Nan's health continued to deteriorate, and in April 2015, she sadly passed away.
She just stopped fighting. We couldn't do anything, the doctors couldn't do anything.
I would have liked to see her in pain because she was in a lot of pain at the end, and so I did pray to God and to take her, because it's not nice to see something. It's very selfish, I think, to want to keep somebody just for you.
Nan's death left a huge void in Rochelle and Lorraine's life.
It was so sad. It was just such a big loss to lose my Nan. She was a third of my family, so to lose her, it was just, it was devastating.
Rochelle's gran had thoughtfully left behind a card for her 21st birthday. On opening it, Mum and daughter discovered a poignant message.
She wrote us both a card to say, follow your dreams, which was her final blessing to go to New Zealand.
The inspiring thought meant the world to the pair.
I know she's in a better place, and I know she's given us a blessing to go.
She'll always be with us in here. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
With Nan's blessing in hand, there's now no stopping Lorraine and Rochelle. The dream's back on track. And the 2-year delay means Rochelle now feels she's in a better place to embrace life on the other side of the world.
Since we've been to New Zealand, I do feel a little bit older, a little bit wiser. I've had more work experience, and I've been like a rolling stone, and I've collected all that moss, and I'm ready now to go to New Zealand.
But it won't just be Lorraine and Rochelle making the move, for Cupid's arrow has struck.
I said, what kind of guy would you like to meet? So do you remember this? And you said, well, he's got to be big, and he's got to have tattoos, and he's got to have a motorbike. And I said, it doesn't work like this. But when I met him, he's the walking checklist of what she wanted.
It was pretty much love at first sight.
When I met her, I just knew she was the one. She was so beautiful, I was lost for words. She's a go-getter, you know. She's all that I need and want.
Luckily, Mum and boyfriend Kieran have hit it off.
He's a lovely, lovely guy.
Me and Lorraine click really well. We have laughs, you know. I can talk to her about anything. She's like my second mum, really.
I'm so glad that you both get on really well, because that would be a major factor, because my mum is my best friend.
New Zealand had always been Rochelle's first love, but luckily for her, Kieran was quickly on board with the idea.
Once he heard that I wanted to go to New Zealand, he said, I'm coming too. He'd never been abroad when I met him. So to go 36 hours to the new place to abode is like crazy. And but he wants to do it.
From the start, I know it was clear that she wanted to go to New Zealand. You know, I was so in love with her, I would follow her anyway. It's her dream and I'm willing to share the dream and make it both our dream.
It just meant that I could refire this dream that I've always had with the love of my life.
Kieran's wasted no time in putting his money where his mouth is.
Next year is the year that he qualifies to be the mechanic that he's always wanted to be. He's been emailing the garages out there to say, look, I'm coming out next year, what do I need to work in your garage?
I'll be looking to go into a garage straight away. It's what I want to do. In the end, I want to open my own garage, you know, a Welsh garage in New Zealand. I'm going to take a little bit of Wales with me to, obviously, to New Zealand.
While Rochelle's Australian passport means she doesn't need a New Zealand visa, Kieran will, and that means a short delay in them making the move.
To enable Kieran to come out, we need to be living together for 12 months, which is why we're renting our own little house before we come out.
With nothing holding her back, Lorraine's bravely decided to head down under first, alone.
Mum is going out first by the end of this year, and me and Kieran to follow next year.
I'm hoping to go to New Zealand by the end of the year. That would be my ideal.
But while she's itching to embark on her new life, Lorraine's dreading being separated from her daughter.
I'm not looking forward to the gap because we're always quite close.
Yeah.
So it is a little bit daunting to go to New Zealand and know that she's not down the road, she's not even in the next town or even on the same island. So I have thought about it and I'm just hoping that we can get by.
Like that one.
She is my best mate and I don't really really relish in the thought of being the other side of the world away from her.
It's quite scary that I'm gonna let her go free. I know it should be the other way around, but I do help my mum quite a bit, and I think it's quite scary that A, I'll have no one to help, and B, that she'll have to do it all on her own.
But Lorraine's trying to stay positive.
It's just a few months when you think of it. 12 little months.
Yeah, like that, yeah? Happy with that?
It's all right.
It's all right.
Though they spent their trial week in Auckland, 2 years on, the pair's destination down under has changed.
I've sort of researched lots of different areas of New Zealand to see where else we could go. And the one that came out, to me, blazingly came out, was Wellington. It's a little bit warmer. It's got loads and loads of things for me to go and explore and discover. And house prices are very much more favourable. It's got a Welsh club and it's part of the rugby, so I mean, what more could I want? I'd love to see the haka. Haka? Oh, I want to see that. All those naked thighs are running around. I've researched it quite a lot. I like the setup. It is the capital, and for that reason, I think there'd be more chances job-wise, especially for Rochelle, because she's a financial assistant. I think if you can get into the government in some form, I think there's openings there.
While Rochelle's been busy plotting her course for a career in New Zealand,
I'm still hoping to be an accounts assistant or an office worker. I've got a few courses and things that I've done under my belt here that should help me get quite a wide range of jobs out there.
Lorraine's keeping an open mind on work down under.
I don't mind taking a completely new career change. If it's working in a shop, driving a bus, I'm quite up to any suggestions really, as long as I'm enjoying it.
But if she did have her choice, there's one role she'd relish.
My ideal job, I think, for me in the future, I would love to be some part of, I know this sounds silly, but on a tour bus and go round and make the journey funny and look around myself whilst I'm there and finding out different roads, where they lead to, what's this mountain called, and the history of the Maori people. And I think it's all interesting. That would be my ideal job. I'm hoping not too bad or too severe a challenge, but it's going to be a new avenue, a new experience, and I think at my age I could do with a little bit of that.
The coming year is going to be life-changing for the Barkers, and in more ways than one.
Then next year we're getting married, so that's really exciting.
The big day's set for May 2016.
Should I change that to the colour you
No,
have?
because it's something old, something borrowed.
Something new and something blue.
We're planning the wedding so soon, so that we'll get to see everyone together in the same place, and it is a chance to say goodbye as well as we're getting married. It's going to be a really emotional day.
Mum would have perhaps preferred a longer engagement.
At first I felt, and there's still a little tiny part of me that feels that she's too young, myself, but knowing Kieran, knowing how they are together, is so good for each other. He is a lovely guy, and I think, well, let's run with it. They're happy.
And she'll be making the journey back to the UK to give the pair her blessing.
The plan is to come out just for the week so that I can catch the hen night and obviously the wedding, and then go out back to home in New Zealand in a day or two after.
As if planning for a wedding wasn't enough, Rochelle's also been busy preparing for her life-changing move.
We've researched companies and things we can do out there and house prices, and we're saving for a deposit for our house.
And she's sticking close to her original vision of life down under.
My forever home in New Zealand would be somewhere where I could have chickens and sheep, a huge kitchen where would be the heart of the house, and somewhere with a lot of land to play in, and hopefully in the future a lot of children to play in too.
Lorraine's clear on what she wants from the future.
I would like to think in 3 years' time I'm settled in my home, I've got a nice little part-time job, I'm in some different courses and clubs, and I've got a little network of social life friends, and being part of Rochelle and Kieran's life as well.
It's taken a bit longer than expected, but finally it looks like all systems go for Rochelle's lifelong dream of a new life in New Zealand.
At this moment in time, I'm feeling really positive about the move. I mean, my mum's house is up for sale, she's sold all her furniture, she's on track to move out. It's very much after our wedding, what are we waiting for?
I really, really believe in adventure, and I think you've just got to go for it sometimes and have some fun and do what you want to do.
New Zealand's always been a part of me, and I think even from a young age when I was in school, people knew me as the girl who wanted to go down under, and I think it's just something everyone knows and is just waiting for. So I'm just really glad now that I can say it's happening.
It's going to be a massive year for the Barkers, with not only a life-changing move on the cards, but Rochelle tying the knot too. We hope Rochelle and Kieran's big day is a truly special one, and that they and Lorraine go on to have a very happy future together in New Zealand. If you passionately believe there was a better life waiting for you on the other side of the world, but the person you love most didn't share your dream, would you follow your head or your heart? In 2013, Rochelle Barker was facing just that dilemma. Today, we'll find out where she and her mum now call home. Rochelle was passionate about a move to the other side of the world.
I absolutely fell in love with New Zealand through geography in school.
And was desperate for her mum to join her.
We're less like mother and daughter and more like best friends.
But for Mum Lorraine, that meant facing an unbearable choice.
I can't see me being in New Zealand thinking, my God, I've left my mum.
2 years on, we'll find out where they are now.
At this moment in time, I'm feeling really positive.
Roughly the same size as Great Britain, New Zealand boasts almost 9,500 miles of coastline and sandy beaches. With most parts of the country enjoying over 2,000 hours of sunshine each summer, it's not difficult to see why, for almost 40 years, it's been one of the top 10 destinations for UK residents choosing to emigrate. 2 years ago, Rochelle Barker had just 1 week to convince Mum Lorraine to uproot her entire life and start afresh in New Zealand. But at the end of it, the pair faced a life-changing decision, whether to stay in the UK or take the plunge and move to the other side of the world. Today, we'll discover how and where Lorraine and Rochelle are now. The Barkers' original trial week in New Zealand started with a 12,000-mile journey with stops in 4 different time zones. Despite the long flight, the ladies had arrived in good form.
Still haven't hit home. We're on the plane saying, we're going to New Zealand. It just doesn't feel real.
This is my dream to come here. To actually get that, it hasn't sunk in. I don't think it will for quite a while yet.
With just 1 week to persuade her mum life would be better in New Zealand, Rochelle would need to find her bearings fast. In 2013, classroom assistant Lorraine and then 18-year-old daughter Rochelle were living in a 3-bedroom bungalow in Kinmel Bay, North Wales. And as relationships between mothers and daughters went, they didn't come much stronger than this one.
We're less like mother and daughter and more like best friends. She's my rock, my confidant, my everything.
The pair spent almost all their spare time together.
We go to these country and western festivals and we dress up with our Stetsons and our boots and we do a bit of line dancing.
But that relationship was being put to the test. Rochelle was desperate to convince her mum to follow her dream and move to New Zealand.
Everything Rochelle seems to do, it's all with New Zealand in mind.
Well, I absolutely fell in love with New Zealand through geography in school. We saw these amazing mountains with the snow. They've got nice holiday destinations with beaches, just like we have here, only they have the summer for it.
Lorraine had emigrated to Australia in her 20s, but had returned to the UK before Rochelle was born. Nearly 30 years later, she didn't know if she had the strength to do it all over again.
At 50, I can see pitfalls and problems arising, and I'm really quite concerned if I'm doing the right thing or not.
A legacy from Lorraine's time down under was Australian passports for her and Rochelle, meaning they wouldn't have needed visas for New Zealand. But the downside was if Lorraine left Wales, she'd also be leaving her mum.
My mum has always been there to help. She's always lived just down the road, always phone each other every day. I can't see me being in New Zealand thinking, my God, I've